A very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another session brought to you by VLAN Asia. Before we start, I would like to remind everyone to like our Facebook and LinkedIn page. You can follow us for updates. Just search for VLAN Asia, or you can click on the link provided at the Q&A section on the right-hand side of the screen. For product inquiries, you can WhatsApp us at +6012 266 0189. The number is displayed on the screen as well. Speaking of which, I would also like to encourage everyone to drop your questions throughout this session and utilize the Q&A section located on the right-hand side of the screen. If it's not open, just click on the blip Q&As icon on the right-hand side corner of the screen to open it. Also for today's session, we wanted to have Ms. Jenny Chu, Head of Sales for Zero Asia, joining us to answer some of your questions at the end of the session. So feel free to send them in. Now for today's session, Crisis with Collection, 5 ways to automate finance processes and manage your bookkeeping from home. We have Mr. Tan Yi Hao, the finance lead of VLAN Asia. He has always been in automating of processes and has always looked for save time and minimize errors in bookkeeping. Like the saying goes, work smart, not hard. Now I would like to hand it over to Mr. Tan for today's session.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining me. I hope everyone is keeping fine. Yeah, I know we've got friends from Malaysia, from Singapore. Singapore recently had your CB recently. I know we've got people from Brunei and all. Welcome. I hope today's session will be very informative for all of you all. Just a quick introduction about myself. I am the finance lead of VLAN Asia. I had a couple of years experience in audit. I've also so basically, like I love numbers, like data numbers. I do triathlons. Data is the core of what we train with. So with that, I'm just gonna hop into what were some of the issues that we faced, and then how we solved it. Okay, so again, thank you, Jenny, for joining us. It's really kind of you, and it's a bit of having a bit of pressure as well. When the head of sales of Zero Asia is here with us. So yeah, I'm just gonna hop on in and just let you know what were some of the issues that we used to face when we were working on our finance. We used to use a more I would say traditional accounting software, and what happens is that I love my Macs. I have been using on Macs for a couple of years, and sorry, it's a bit uncomfortable for me to use Windows. So the next thing is that we had our servers installed on premise. We needed a separate physical server. So what it means is that if we are at home, we can't do anything. The billings team had on occasion, actually every month, twice a month, they would stay up till midnight to do their billings. And the reason is because it's a very manual process. Everything had to be printed out and then filed hard copy. So for me, I've got a bit of a sensitive nose. So, it didn't sit well with me, all of these things. But the thing is that it's just part of life. You just accept it as it is. Collection problems. It's not that clients didn't want to pay, but out of sight, out of mind. You just have to constantly remind them. Invoices, statements, payment reminders all had to be sent out manually through email. We had to download, print as PDF, and then attach it to an email. That's how we would do it. And then the last thing was that it was a bit difficult for us to send out reports, because I'm not talking about like a standard P&L, but let's say if we wanted something really fast, I'm not able to give my bosses reports within 5 minutes. And the last issue is that whenever there were any changes, like when GST came about, we had to pay someone a lot of money to come out with with updating our software. So the fun thing about what we do now is that I can work on any device, including my Mac. So yeah, that's like a big plus for me. Everything is cloud-based and AI-driven. So what this really means is that for a lot of companies, you are looking at a lot of cost savings because you don't have to set up your servers, you don't have to buy a VPN tunnel, you don't have to worry about having enough bandwidth on a VPN, how many people can access it at once. That's amazing. because it's AI driven, so now everyone has work-life balance, or we are more productive depending on how you look at it. Our billing team goes home at 6 p.m. every day. That's like that's just amazing. You can't buy happiness. Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I think it's amazing. We don't print a lot of things anymore. We still do keep some filings, but everything is minimal. Management reports very quickly. My boss can ask me something and I can come up with something really quickly. The best thing for us is that this system actually sends out automated payment reminders to our clients. So it kind of helps eliminate the whole out of sight, out of mind thing. Changes to regulations are there. When there are changes to taxes, it's easy. And the best thing is that there's free help desk support. So whenever I'm exploring new functions, you are not paying someone 1,000 ringgit to team viewer in 8 times a year to give you some answer. But there's actually someone at the help desk who will come in and explain everything A to Z for you. So yeah, this wonderful platform that we're using is called Xero. It's a cloud-based, browser-based, accounting platform. And I think when we look at Xero, right, we have to look at some of the concerns that any business owner would have. I'm sure all of you are looking at this slide would agree that these are some of the most important things when you look at, especially in this current climate, when you're looking at business continuity. How do you continue billings? Billings is like your frontliners. Like if you're not billing, then you're not getting your revenue. So I'm just gonna move ahead. Yeah. So again, because Xero is cloud-based, we were able to work from home. Our finance operations were not drastically affected. I've only had to go into the office a couple of times, and one of them was only to take a rubber stamp. So it really gives you an idea of how important cloud is at the moment. All we need to work is really just a stable internet connection and a web browser. You can have Safari, you can have Firefox, Chrome, whatever. It doesn't have to be a fast connection, it just has to be stable. Again, we don't need VPN connections. So you are looking at a lot of savings. You don't have to worry about fighting for bandwidth, who can go in at which time. All these things are not a problem anymore. We can upload our hard copy files. So that was exactly how I was able to work from home, because whatever files that I needed, were all online. I just had to look for it, make my reference, download, send it out, whatever. It was all online. And the best thing is that we didn't have to pay for IT support. And touch wood, if my computer dies, all I need to do is just to replace it with another PC, or another Mac with a browser, and I'm back online. And especially in this climate, I think everybody's a bit affected by the COVID-19 thing. So whenever you have anything finance related, you need your reports very quickly. And the problem is that if you are using a very manual system, right, by the time the reports are out, right, the data is already obsolete, like the opportunity for you to act is gone. So this is why I've always kind of like wanted to be able to do things very quickly. And thank goodness, like this time, we were able to do so. So I'm going to go on to billings. So like I said, billings would be like your frontliners. You want to give them the best kind of tools they have to do their job. So the first question here is that who enjoys manual data entry? I don't think many people enjoy it. And the thing about us accountants, if you look at us realistically, is that we are just data entry clerks. Sometimes if you look at it. Billings is cool because you can convert a quotation to a purchase order and invoice a bill instantly, instead of doing it multiple times. I'll give you a demo shortly. Recurring invoices, I'm sure a lot of you have recurring invoices. You can see how it helps as well. And then you can send it directly to customer's email. So, like for those who have made the mistake of attaching another invoice, another statement, then you have to call the client, hey, sorry, do you mind deleting that email for me, please? Thank you. It helps avoid a lot of these kind of situations from happening. Yeah, so what happens when you send out a wrong invoice? Yeah, you can say that it's a human error, but it doesn't reflect on very nicely. And what if you send out very sensitive information? You give a client a better rate, then the second client will come in and say, hey, I want that rate. The best thing is that we can integrate. So I'll give you a demonstration as well, and then again to repeat for our billings team, they're not burning the midnight oil anymore on billing days. So I'm going to look at the contemporary sales and procurement process. So what happens is that the sales team will go out and meet the clients, come back, and then he'll come up with a quotation. At that point, he would have to think, okay, this is what the client needs. So there's a bit of data entry going on there, and we can't avoid that. Okay, the client will sign on the quotation. Yeah, I accept this. Please go ahead, and then sales team would send it to the procurement team, and then procurement team, depending on how many vendors they need to get it from, they would have to do another round of data entry. So at this point, we are looking at minimum of 3. And then sales team goes to accounts and say like, hey, can you help me bill it to the client? Yeah, then like for a lot of organizations out there, we are still using Excel or Word to generate your invoices, and then you have to deal with formatting. You have to deal with filings, chop sign, send it away. Then again, you have to key it into your books. So we are looking at like 5 points of data entry. It's a bit ridiculous, if you look at it honestly. So yeah, so what I'm going to show you is that how our billings demo works. But before that, if there are any questions, I just want to remind you, please put it in a Q&A. I would love to have any questions from you, especially considering that, like it did take a bit of a mindset change to realize that this is a wonderful tool. So yeah, please ask me your questions, your concerns. How do you think you can improve? Give it to me. So yeah, billings demo. Going on to the earlier scenario, we're going to look at the quote over here. So customer A is going to buy a MacBook Air from us for 5,299 ringgit. There's no tax, and for purposes of demonstration, we've already sent out the quotation to the client, and then the client has already accepted it. So what happens next is that we need to buy the MacBook, and then we need to sell it back to the customer. So in a traditional sense, sorry, we are skipping the traditional way of having to copy and paste everything. So just watch this. You can see I'm just clicking copy to. Purchase order. And all the information is in. I just have to key in which supplier I'm buying it from. When do I want it delivered? What was the agreed upon price? And then the accounts and your tax rate. So you can see, maybe you can put in delivery instructions, look for Yihao, put in my phone number, approve it, and you can send it off. You see, you don't even have to download it to your downloads folder. I mean, after this presentation is over, right, I'll just like you to just go to your downloads folder and just look at how much things do you have inside there. And again, bearing in mind the risk when you send out a wrong file, So moving on, what happens next is that we are going to convert the quotation to an invoice. And again, you can see how few steps do I take to do this. Again, copy to an invoice. And you see, everything is in. And then again, you can email it out without having to download it again. So to me, it's a very big thing, not having to risk sending out the big thing, the wrong document to the wrong client. I think it's a concern that all of you would agree with me. So this is why I keep talking about that. So again, purchase order, when the supplier has dropped off the MacBook to us, then he drops us the bill, and then you can see what do we key in. We convert it to a bill. Bill meaning an incoming invoice in this case. The only thing that we type at this point is just the invoice number, and that would be from your supplier's invoice. So if you look at it realistically, right, how little times do I use the keyboard in this case? So we are looking at like moving from this to something like this. Okay, so something for you to take home and think about. So for a lot of us, what we have is that we have a master sheet at work, it can look something like this. So I'm using some examples of more traditional business. So maybe like you can have a recruitment company, you can have something like VLAN where we rent hardware and Office 365. You can have like a coffee subscriber. You can have like accounting. You can have landlords. You can have co-working spaces. You can even have like a furniture seller. Anything can work. But the point is that a lot of people are working with Excel files. And what we can do is that through some creative Excel formulas, we can put it in this nice little Excel file, which we would then import into the system. So if you look at it, staff recruitment for sales manager, Lucas. So, you look at it, yeah, it comes out as an invoice. I never had to key in anything at any point. And then it gets sent out to the client, again, via email. So at this point, I would like to highlight, if you look at this file on the third button from the second button from the right, what you can do is that you can actually attach a lot of files inside there. You may attach like purchase orders, you may attach email threads, you may attach like payment receipts. So when your auditors come in at the end of the day, they will be able to access these files from here. So for a lot of auditors, right, the benefit of having your clients on Xero is that you really cut down on a lot of time looking for documents. I mean, I've done audit, I've went through the pain of spending half an hour just to look for a document, and this really cuts down the time. So from one of the bigger auditors in Malaysia, what they shared that their time costs, basically the amount of time that they need to complete a job, has dropped by 60%. So can you imagine running your accounts team at 40% cost of what it costs you to run today? And this cost can come in from like things like salary, coming from like stationery. So you're looking at a lot of savings here. So integrations is one step further. So going on to our like how again we have this whole master listing. So VLAN as IT providers, we went a step further, and we actually built our own little system where we key in all our clients' data inside here. So you can see that. So like for example, we sell Office 365. Our billing cycle is every month, and then yeah, it's just automatic. Everything just gets keyed inside there. And if you look at the audit trail of the invoice, right, you can see that received through Xero API, and you can see nobody had to make any edits to it. If you compare it with a more traditional invoice, it was created, it was copied, it was edited, approved, edited again. So like when we approved it, we went back and then we looked at it. Hey, I think we made a bit of a mistake, so we have to go back and edit it. So if you compare this and this, it really gives you an idea of how much time has been saved. So yeah, this is what everyone is here for: cash flow and collection activities. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. Go grab a drink, make yourself comfortable. This is where the action starts. Yeah. So yeah, to run a finance team effectively, right, you really need to be able to project your collections and payments. So why is it in red? It's because it's very important. Okay. So the next thing is that when we run the finance department, towards the end of the month or whenever that bills are due, then your boss will come up to you and like, hey, when are you gonna be able to collect? And the solution in that is actually very simple. You just keep calling your clients. But the thing about me is that sometimes I feel a bit shy, and like they may give you a very so yeah, just basically sometimes you feel very shy. So through Xero, right, we'll be able to send out periodic reminders. It can come before and even after the due date. So when clients are constantly getting reminders, right, it eliminates the whole idea of like, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot, or I don't think I received it. So you can even send statements of outstanding easily. It's orange again because it's important. For those people who are doing online businesses, there's even payment options with credit card and PayPal. It's a bit expensive, but if it helps you, then go for it. And then the most important thing is that there's a bird's eye view. Why is it in gray? Again, because it's important. So when you first log into Xero, right, this is what you would see. This would be your bank account. So you can see that it's in the graph. You can see that it's very easy to work with. Then you will also see what invoices are owed to you. And that at the back of the mind, these clients will pay eventually. You look at your payments, and then that okay, there are 27 overdue bills, and you will have to pay eventually. So the whole idea for me is that maybe I'm a bit idealistic. I think that everyone should just pay their bills on time without having to chase and to be chased. But as humans, sometimes I forget as well. So when my vendors remind me repeatedly, then yes, I would pay. And the same thing goes with our clients. We notice that when after implementing this automated email reminders, our cash flow actually became a lot better. So you can see that, oh, it's due in 7 days, 7 days overdue, 14 days overdue. You can edit all of this. You can, put it like 1 day overdue, 2 day overdue. So, like you're just going to be spamming your customers nonstop, hey, bro, pay up. So this is how the email looks like. I've shown it to you just now during the billings demonstration, but just to remind you, everything again is online. You don't have to download anything. There's no risk of sending the wrong files. And this is how an invoice reminder would look like. This is a screenshot of my email. Hi, person's name. Thanks for working with us. Your bill was due when? And then, there's even a link for them to click on it where they can download as a PDF or integrate into their Xero. So yeah, we found that this really, really helped us a lot, and how you can really see it is that at last time, what happens is that towards the end of the month, boss would get really angry if we didn't have enough cash. Sorry, Lance, But now we notice that this month-end problem does not happen so often anymore. So yeah, thank you, Xero. Yeah. So yeah, going back to this example, you can even tell that, whether has a client viewed the invoice. So I'm not trying to tell you to sit. I'm not telling you to go and buy some red paint or something, but it's just for you to manage your relationship effectively with the client. Maybe like the client feels that you haven't been delivering value, so they feel like they don't need to pay. It's just business knowledge for you to work on. Okay. Again, you can send statement of accounts. Again, print PDF or email, because I just love emailing from this. It keeps my computer clean, it reduces errors. So yeah, this is how we really manage collections, because like I said, we are humans, we tend to forget. It's not that I think that all clients out there are generally decent people. They will pay us. It's just a matter of when they get paid, then they can pay us. And then when they get paid, they have to remember who has to be paid. And for us to be on top of their mind, oh yeah, Yihao needs to be paid for the work he has done for me. Yeah. So this is how I remind them that this is how they need to pay us. So on to the next section. Before that, if anyone has any questions about collections, because that was what really is has been helping us a lot, please send us your questions. I would love to help you out with your collections. Yeah, drop us a text in the Q&A section. Norman will help us look through it, and then together with Jenny, I would answer them later. So yeah, we're going to look at bookkeeping. That's a very important part of any accounting software. What I'm going to tell you is that with Xero, you're going to have all the reports you ever want. So like some people will ask me, hey, can I look at profit and loss? Yes, you can. Can I look at general ledger? Can I look at trial balance? Can I look at balance sheet? Yeah, everything is there, and the fun part is that there are even more things that you never knew that you wanted. You can, for me, I'm able to filter my P&L by like salesperson, for example, or filter it by branch. Let's say you have like 10 outlets, 10 restaurants, and then you can filter it by branch, by when you consolidate your P&L. I can compare it month on month, I can compare it year on year, I can compare it like, let's say, a number of previous periods, then we kind of can see the trend. Yeah, so like, because the way we are able to generate reports, right, is just limitless. I can't really tell you what can you do, but it's kind of like you tell me what you want and I'll show you how to do it, kind of thing. So for me, I realized that, hey, there's some data that I think the marketing team would be able to use. So you look at it, it's pretty good. The reports come out ready to send. So instead of spending hours formatting, copy paste, linking and everything, you can just send it, download it, look at it, make sure everything is right, and just send it out. So yeah, the best thing, my favorite part, is the AI driven bank reconciliation. But before this, I'm just going to show you some of the standard stuff. So you can look at, there's like the entire list of reports here. I'll be honest, I've not used some of them because I found that most of them are more than enough for what I'm doing. I'm going to be going out on a limb and say that I think some of these reports are not available on your standard standard versions, whatever traditional accounting softwares you're using. Some people might ask, are we able to do tax reports for SST or GST or whatever tax that you want? Yes, we are able to do so. We are even able to change the tax basis. So for Malaysians, our GST was on accrual basis, if you remember, and SST moved it over the cash basis. So yes, this is what we are able to do. And if you look at this demo over here, if you realize that I actually have a couple of taxes on hand, why I left this in is that I want to show you that, let's say if there were a few types of taxes, this system would be able to separate it. You'll be able to download an audit file, and then you'll be able to do your SST02 submission or whatever. Just grab the data from there. So yes, this is heavenly, Yeah, so there's a demo that I'm going to show you on reports. So I'm just going to use this example to show you how we can filter data very easily. So this is a age receivables report. If you look at it, there are a number of columns that I can input over here. And then I can choose to group it. I can age it by the number of periods, or basically these are the things that we can do. You can even have filters, So if let's say you are chasing for payment, you can look at these guys and say that, okay, I want to chase the guys who have seen my invoice first. So they definitely know about it. So I can choose invoice seen. They've seen my invoice. So an example of how it can come out, it's like this. So Bayside Club, you have the primary person. So let's say if your boss ask for the receivables, the aging, you're gonna send it to him without the contact person and the mobile number. Why is that so? Because your boss would have bought Partridge on his phone. You have Martin Dale. He knows who to call. For when City Limousines is behind. But let's say like things get touch wood get ugly. You need to sort out your red paint procurement. You can always send it to your collections agency, and then they would know who to collect it from. Yeah, so that is an example of really how flexible Xero is with their reporting. I'll be honest, there are a lot of things that I've not looked at, but based on what I've used so far, I know that it's amazing. This is my favorite, and when I touched Bank Recon last time, then at the moment I touched it and I said, this is all worth paying for, Yeah, so if you look at the traditional bank recon format, right, you're gonna have a piece of paper on the table on your left or on your right or whatever, and then you're gonna be like going back and forth, and then it takes a lot of time, and then there's the risk of occupational hazard being bent over your table. So what we do here with Xero is that we are able to upload our bank statements. If you look at the left side, this is our uploaded bank statements. You can even log in and then you'll pull in your bank data automatically. And then you can match it with some of the transactions on Xero. So you can see that it's very fast because everything is just side by side. You can just look at your statements, and then there's no risk of having reconciled a file and reconcile a transaction, and then you forgetting to pick it on your bank statement, and then you reconcile it again. So we are looking at just little ways of like removing the risk of making mistakes here and there. But when you put it all together, yeah, it's a very big thing. So I'm going to show you the reconciliation demo. For this, I'm going to use an example in the demo company. So this company is Ridgeway University, and then they owe us a couple of $1,000 for some of the work that we did on-site project management for CRM project. So if you look at the top left corner, it's still awaiting payment. If you look at the bottom left, there's actually this little tab that allows us to record the payments. So what I'm going to do is that I am going to go to my bank reconciliation, and then because it's AI driven, so it actually suggests, look, Ridgeway, was this paid by Ridgeway? So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to show you how it works. So yeah, I've marked it as paid, and then there's a matching invoice. So yeah, when I go onto this thing, right, this is a very, very good example of AI driven, because you see we spent $4,500 to Smart Agency, but there are two matching invoices to supplier A also of 4,500. So let's say the first time you tell it, no, this is not for Smart Agency, then it's going to start realizing that, hey, maybe all the payments that we pay to Smart Agency would not be for supplier A. This is an example of AI. You tell it no a few times, then it's just going to start learning no. It's just like teaching your kids or teaching your pets, training them not to do things. This is basically the same way. Previously, we never had this kind of things, and that is why I'm able to work so quickly right now. So yeah, if I were to reload the invoice that I showed you earlier, you will notice that it's actually paid. Okay, top left corner, lower right corner, it would show you the payment history. So it was paid on the 22nd of March. Yep. So yeah, it's paid. And then the best thing is that it's also been reconciled, so I don't have to add another step into my process. So the next thing I want to show you is bank reconciliation demo for frequently entered transactions. But before that, some of you probably would have some questions about the reconciliation process and how is it so quick. Maybe you have some concerns about your security whenever it comes to the banks. Yes, that was something that I had as well. So yeah, please put it in so that we can address it for you. Okay. So take this example for let's look at these numbers, for example. Okay, if you look at them, they are spaced out once a month. So what does it mean is that maybe it's a loan, a loan repayment that I'm paying to public bank. So what can happen is that I can either type public bank Berhad multiple times and then select the account and then key in the description. I can either do it multiple times, or I can just come up with this simple thing called rules, where if it meets certain conditions, then it would suggest this to me. So if the payee is equals to public bank Berhad, then yes, it must match these two conditions. Payee is public bank, amount is 2341.85, and then the condition, the outcome would be the contact would be public bank. The description will be payment for term loan 6314 1352 1099, and then it goes into the loan account. And then what happens is that when we save it, then if you notice that it will come out, with the suggestion. If it does not apply, for example, for some reason you make another payment to public bank for the same amount, then you just click on don't apply rule. So what I'm going to show you here within the next 8 seconds is that how many transactions we're able to clear. If you want, you can count it out loud and then you let me know at the end how many transactions were cleared within the 8 or 10 seconds. All right. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So you can see I cleared seven transactions in what, 10 seconds? This goes along with the age-old the whole adage of like if you want to chop down a tree, sharpen your axe first. So by spending that 5 minutes writing that script, right, I've already saved myself a fair bit of time, and more importantly, I don't have to have the risk of making mistakes in the future. For all of those who are like some of you might probably be wondering at this point, what else does Xero have? We also have a lot of apps. Xero has a lot of apps. For a lot of people, they may be on Shopify, PayPal, all of this. So Xero has an app store just like Apple has the Apple App Store. Without the App Store, an iPhone is an iPhone, great camera and all. Without the App Store, Xero has a great system and everything. But all this just adds on to the value of having why you want an iPhone. Why would you want Xero? Because there are a lot of these apps available. So Xero Network is one of the coolest things, one of the coolest discoveries that I've made this year. Yeah, I'll just show you how it works. So imagine right now you are using a traditional system. What happens is that, sorry, just let me grab a drink. What happens is that when we VLAN, let's say you rent a computer from us, all right? We send you a bill, then you will have to key it in, when your remittance partner, you send money overseas through Money Match, you have to key it in, your company secretary, you have to key in, basically payroll data is always very complicated, then you have to key all of it in as well. So you're looking at all of this multiplied multiple times, your vendors, your auditors, your recruitment agencies, your suppliers, your trade suppliers, your office, your landlord, these are, you can see that really, like, if you look at the amount of work here, like you probably understand why us accountants so cranky all the time. Yes. So yeah, this is what Xero Network does. If you look at the bottom, this is actually one of our sister companies, H1 to 7. And then the top would be VLAN. Okay, so this kind of gives you an idea of how to look at it. So the story goes like this. VLAN, the office that we use, is actually rented through H1 to 7. And then we then kind of like share out the cost. So what happens is that at the end of each month, H1 to 7 would have to bill it to VLAN. So what happens is that we would key in the invoice to billing towards VLAN, and then share of office rental for the period of this, and then we would send it via Zero Network. Okay, send via Zero Network, and then it would go into our draft account. This is from H1 to 7. It was on this date. So if you notice, all the details all match. So we move in. The only things that we ever have to key in is actually the account and the tax rate. Yeah. So we just approve it. And can you imagine what happens when you just replace with 0? Yeah, your work is already a lot faster. And what if all of your friends move on to 0 as well? So, like VLAN goes on 0, your advisors go on 0, your property management goes on 0, every single person goes on 0. Can you imagine what happens? So yeah, if you use COVID-19 as an analogy, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at herd immunity scenario here. Nobody has to do mindless data entry anymore, and that is the power of 0. Like you look at it individually, yes, maybe there's something I love, but when more people use 0, that's it. That's how amazing finance can be. So I think Zero's tagline is but beautiful, making business beautiful. So I really can see how Zero has helped me. I feel a lot happier doing my accounts, honestly. So yeah, with that, I think I'd like to bring in Miss Jenny to us for the Q&A. So for anyone who has any questions, I would really love to hear it from you right now. Whoops.
Hi, Yihao and Jenny.
Yes.
Welcome back. Okay, so we have one question by Mr. Xiong. I think
Okay.
it's a Mr. He's asking, how do we match customers' payments against sales invoices? Example, customer owings 20 invoices in aging and pays for first half of it in a lump sum.
Okay. I'm so sorry I missed out that part. I was a bit nervous, honestly. Okay, so when we were looking at the bank reconciliation statement, I'm just gonna skip back a bit just for you all to understand which part I was talking about. Yeah, just give me this part. Okay, so we're talking about this part, right? So in this case, if you look at it, it's 6187.50 and 6187.50. So it's very obvious to look at it at this point and say that, yeah, this is it. So the payments would be matched. But what if they pay just 6187. They pay half of this? Then what we would do is that there is an option to make partial payments or choose multiple invoices. The cool thing about it is that let's say for us Malaysians, we are operating in Malaysian ringgit, right? And then we receive we do have a USD billing, for example. Let's say we send out a 10 USD bill. Okay, that will be about 40 ringgit or so. Then we receive 40 ringgit. So we mark it against that invoice. And the cool thing is that the gain and loss in Forex, right, is automatically recognized. Yeah, so Mr. Xiong, I hope that answers your question. Okay, maybe I'd like to ask Miss Jenny some of the questions, since she's the head of sales at Zero. She probably has a lot of experience with working with a lot of deployment. At this point, I think for us, I mean, like as an IT company, we are quite familiar with moving to cloud, right? But I would imagine that one of the concerns of people would be security. How would you address moving from pen and paper accounting, to cloud accounting? Yeah, pen and paper meaning, like the ledger lines with the blue and red lines. Yeah, to cloud accounting. How would you address that?
First of all, thanks Yihao for that question, and I'm quite privileged to be here in this webinar. I'm also Malaysian myself, so totally understand what Malaysia is going through at the moment. Security is always top of mind for small businesses. It's and that's why for Zero, it's vitally important to our business that we need to have the highest level of security. And we are very passionate about it. It's always a challenge when people move from one method towards another, i.e. this way now you're moving towards cloud. And so we at Xero want to give confidence to people that when they start to use Xero, that we have extremely safe platform. So we have, the highest encryption possible, physical security, two-factor authentication. When you log in, you can be absolutely sure that you're safe, and we are also adhering to the ISO standards. And pen and paper, as you say, moving to cloud is a big change, and we all go through change. Some love it, some don't. We are right now finding a lot of SMEs and accountants in Malaysia moving towards cloud because of the efficiencies that they gain within their business. So say for accountants, rather than wasting countless of hours, performing the busy work required to, like Yihao was mentioning, process, pay invoices, manual data entry, reconciling accounts one by one, you can basically now, with a cloud technology platform like Xero, you can take a picture, scan, automate data, and do everything at your fingertips in real time. So basically, let the technology and machine learning do it for you. And for SMEs, we don't want to wait to go home and log in to find out, our current financials and how our business is going, but just by looking at a book, right? We want to have it in the palm of our hands. So if we compare that to sort of pen and paper, the amount of upside technology gives you is astronomical, and it frees up your time to do a much more important tasks, which I'm pretty sure in Malaysia, generating revenue or garnering new clients is at top of mind.
Yep. Thank you, Jenny. If looking at your answer, right, it kind of reminds me that people sometimes can be quite resistant to change. I'm guilty of that. When Facebook changes its layout, people will complain as well. So yeah, I would understand that concern. So yeah, I know that there are some businesses who are still not on Xero at the moment. They're still not on Xero. What do you think their primary concerns would be? Let's say they don't want to get on Xero, and what would your advice be to a business looking to keep things more traditional?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think those that are not on Xero yet are probably the ones that have not heard about us or have heard minimally about us. Xero is actually a New Zealand-based software company. We started off in 2006, birth from the cloud and for the cloud. We came to Asia about 3 years ago, and we're still doing a really good job in terms of building our brand and market and awareness here to ensure that local Malaysians know about cloud and how technologies like Xero can actually help their business so much. There's definitely primary concerns for people thinking about Xero. One of the main primary concerns that we hear about is the resistance to change to technology. I like the analogy here that our team always uses. It's like you have cash, and traditionally you feel much more comforted by keeping the money under your pillow. That way you feel actually it's safe. But if you actually kept the money in the bank, although you're not physically touching it, it brings you more ROI. So that's sort of the change in mindset that you would have to go through when you're moving to cloud and using technologies like Xero. Second is what we hear is security. How secure is it to go on cloud? And that's why we have, like I mentioned before, placed the utmost importance in security. We use AWS, which is one of the leading cloud storage in the world, and have a team 24/7 globally, ensuring that the data that you put on Xero is always secure. And then the third thing, I think, Yihao, I love the way how you talk about magical just now. So probably people don't know yet about how magical and how efficient business can be when they come onto a platform like Xero. So I use the term business platform because it's not just an accounting software to keep your books in real time. It's a business platform where SMEs are learning a lot about their business from using Xero and leveraging the opportunity to use this technology to grow your business. So as an example, you shared about the app connections that's available to Xero. So Xero has an open API where we have connections to over 800 plus apps. So the likes of POS, e-commerce, inventory management, payroll, and businesses now today have the option in their hand to choose what makes sense for the business It could be you try a certain payroll software, doesn't really work for you, you can hop off and hop on again. And that's the flexibility that a technology like Xero gives. So gone were the days where you had to rely on large on-premise or DOS desktop, which would give you the full end-to-end solutions. People today love options. They love the options of moving around where they see fit, and Xero actually gives them that opportunity. Likewise, if there are accounting firms in this call as well, we are seeing that a lot of accounting firms see the level of efficiencies and automation and data flow smoothly between the platforms that actually give them room to move from the traditional services of just doing bookkeeping and data entry to higher value added advisory on how to help SMEs grow. So pretty much, I think those are the top main, sort of primary concerns.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that also answers why business should look towards moving out from the traditional way. I think at this point, I think we really should bring up one point for, like there's always talk that, AI will always replace people. I don't 100%, I do agree, but not 100%. I would like to say that for people who have been used to doing data entry, I think you could look at it in a positive way, because who knows, you may enjoy it or you may not enjoy it, but you are looking, when you're automating data entry, right, you're looking towards delivering more value at the end of the day, and you are able to advise your boss. Maybe you've been someone who's been with the company for ages and you know the whole company inside out, and one day your boss comes up to you and like, hey, do you know this? Then yes, I know it and I can solve it because now I have time. So yeah, for the people who are worried about Xero, no, this really helps you a lot. Yeah. Okay, there is one question.
Yeah, can we take the questions? There's one question by Atika. Ika joined us a bit late, and she's asking whether the system has a system for admin department or it's just for accounts.
Yep. Okay. Hi Atika. Yeah, thanks for your question. Okay, so to start with, primarily, I think I would like as an accountant, I would say, yeah, Xero is an accounting software. But I think I would like to have to I would need to clarify it with you, like which admin processes are you looking at? So like I'm guessing you probably missed that part where I was talking about generating POs during procurement. Xero is able to do it very well. What it does is that the salespeople would send out a quotation, and then we would then be able to easily convert it to a purchase order or bills or invoices. So yeah, to answer to if that would be what I imagine an admin work would be, yes, then I would say yes, it does do what you are looking for. Yeah.
Another question is by Mrs. Young again. He's asking whether there is an offline version option to continue operations just in case there's no connectivity or connectivity is a problem.
Okay, I would say that to answer your question, I would say that there is no, but I would say don't take my answer in a bad way, because if you look at it, there is always a risk of doing everything. When you look at, like, we recently had a client who hopped on with us, right, and they were doing their accounting offline. So you think of it, yeah, very safe, like the only thing that can affect us is if there's a power outage. But surprisingly, they got ransomware, and yeah, they lost an entire year's worth of work. In a way, the MCO has been a blessing to them because they were able to get an extension for their filing. But yeah, so I would say that risk is everywhere. In our case, having the connectivity problem is a very minimal risk. If you look at it realistically, you don't have an internet at home. You have your phone. Your phone, you can use it as a hotspot. So yeah, I would agree with your concern, but I would like to say that it's not a major one.
Being on the cloud means the software is hosted by someone else, so you really don't have to worry about backups, upgrade server. As long as I believe people are now we are actually using the cloud already when we're using WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn. So that's quite similar to sort of the technology on the cloud that Xero uses as well.
That's a good one, Jenny. Yes.
Mr. Pang has Mr. Ping or Mr. Ping Sam has a question. He's asking, what is the process of conversion from traditional accounting system to Xero?
Okay, it's quite similar to any other systems, really. Like you just have, like, let's say you have your previous year closing balance. You just give that to us, then you have your list of AP and ARA, pass that to us, and then we can convert it for you.
Okay, there's one question about Xero. There has been some problems where occasionally bank feeds don't work as well. Is Xero actively engaging banks to improve bank feeds coming into Xero?
Yeah, that's a great question. So bank feeds is obviously one of the most sort of popular features for Xero. You know, in Singapore, we've got the top 4 banks: DBS, HSBC, OCBC, UOB. Hong Kong, 3 banks: DBS, HSBC, Hang Seng, and in Malaysia, we are working with CIMB right now. So we are actually continuously making sure that we are always upgrading the platform, and our conversations with the banks across sort of Malaysia have been in progress. So we're always looking to making sure that we become better and better at what we do, and bank fees is definitely something that we are constantly looking into.
Another question is that how long has Xero been around, the software?
So Miss Jenny was just saying Xero has been around since 2006. So yeah, I know that Xero serves like millions and millions of customers globally. You know, like all of them are as happy, if not happier, than I am. Yeah, you know. So yeah, maybe Jenny, one last question for you. Okay, so most of your partners are accounting and audit firms. So VLAN is probably like one of your first IT firms. How do you see the value that we bring to the table differing from an audit firm?
That's a great question. You know, you're right in the sense that, you know, most of our partners are accounting firms and bookkeepers. Although we have a large proportion of SMEs across Asia that's buying direct on our platform as well. They love it actually because we always have this thing that everything we do in Xero has to be sort of a hashtag beautiful. So it's very easy for SMEs to use Xero to understand their cash flow better. The way I see, you know, VLAN is different. Is that VLAN is a IT integrator. So you guys have the ability to advise and build integrations around an entire business system from end to end. So for example, due to, you know, Xero's open APIs, IT integrators like you guys can actually help to advise and connect different systems and apps to Xero, and that actually equates to a really smooth data flow. So essentially, VLAN is a tech concierge that, you know, that focuses on optimizing the client's business process, and that's where clients get real value out of it, because you've seen the magnitude of different systems and processes out there, and you are able to then advise the best thing for the client. And looking at how you've integrated Xero into your own system to automate your bills, your billing. The technical base will allow you know, your clients to deploy Xero while maintaining the existing systems. And essentially, at the end of the day, the end game is to be efficient and to save money as well.
Yeah, that's the last. I like your last line, Jenny. Yeah, save money. Yeah, I'm an accountant at heart. Yeah, we've got one more question. Atika replied to my message about answering her question about what was she looking when she was looking at the admin department. So yeah, she's saying that sales, admin, and accounting, yes, Xero can do this for you. Drop us a text and then we'll see how we can help you. Yeah, so yeah, I would like to see if there's any more questions. Miss Jenny has been very kind to spare some of her time, and she has got another meeting to go off to. So yeah, if anyone has any last questions for Jenny, please drop them down. If not, I would really like to thank you for joining us, and everyone, please stay safe. You know, thank you. Wash your hands.
Yeah, thanks Yihao for the presentation, and Miss Jenny for joining us. Once again, I would like to encourage you all to like our Facebook and LinkedIn page through our links, or you can just search up VLAN Asia and like it for updates. Also, if you can be kind to send us feedback on this webinar, please do. This is the QR code that you can actually scan and give us the feedbacks.
Yeah, I would really love to have your feedback because it's my first time speaking in ages, you know. So yeah, please help me get better at it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the QR code you can scan, or if you have any other inquiries with regards to Xero or any other softwares, you can actually send us a WhatsApp message to the WhatsApp number displayed on the screen right now, or you can call us or email us through the information on the screen. And before we end it, I would like to remind everyone on this coming Tuesday's webinar, we will have a guest speaker from the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Agency, MACC, to speak about an Act 17A on bribery and corruption, and how it is not only detrimental to one's personal good standing, but also impacts the company's reputation. So if you have interest in this, you can join us to learn how to safeguard your organization and to set up preventive measures with the MACC. You can join us through the links, or also, you can join us through the links, or we will send you an email later on after this thank you email, which we will also include today's presentation slides, as well as the video recording of today's webinar, and also the link to join us for next Tuesday's webinar as well. Lastly, just a reminder, we all will be sending you the recording, right? Stay safe, everyone. And thank you very much, Jenny, for joining us, and Yihao for the presentation today.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.